We will call this hearing for Sam Finnegan, dated 6/24/15, to order. Before we begin, just want to remind everyone that this is as a normal court hearing. The only people that will be allowed to speak today will be those who are witnesses that have been called by the attorneys representing both parties. Also, as you know, on our Board of Works, Mr. Berkshire typically sits on the Board of Works, but since he's acting as the prosecutor in this case, Bruce Carson, who is newly sworn in, will be sitting in his place and fully capable and able to vote. So, with that, Mr. Berkshire, do you want to begin?
I think that in regards to Bruce Carson's appointment, we have provided to Pat Roberts there, who's representing the Board of Works today, the oath that he is a member of the Board of Works. I provided Ed Merchant, who's here with Sam Finnegan, a copy of that. And I think Ed wants to make some preliminary requests to the board and put some matters on the record. So I'd let him do that now at this time.
Sure. Prior to this meeting, we had discussed our request to recuse the mayor from the board in voting capacity in this manner, simply because we've asked the mayor, we have him listed on our witness list, and we intend to call him specifically due to the fact that at least two of the disciplinary charges involved here involve actions involving the pension board, and at that time, all times relevant, the mayor himself was the president of the pension board, and therefore we feel that he is a germane witness to our situation. It's my understanding that the request has been denied, so I'd just like the record to reflect that.
Is that all? Okay. And now, gentlemen, do we have a stipulation that the Board of Works, which really we're acting here as a Board of Public Safety, has jurisdiction over all these matters and can proceed today? And that all the notices that were sent out were proper, and so we don't have any dispute about that?
At this time, I don't have a dispute.
Well, that's all procedural. It's been done up prior to today.
Sure.
So we have a stipulation in that this body is duly convened for the purpose of the disciplinary hearing, correct?
Correct.
To the best of my knowledge.
Well, it's either correct or it is submissive. I'm not one of those guys who equivocates, so please bear with me. But I assume by that remark that you have no objection.
No objection at this time, that's correct.
Okay, with regard to the request for recusal, my advice to the board is that apparently there are other witnesses I'm advised of who can testify if part of this matter is before the board. I would ask the board to look at the specific charges, particularly number one, okay, because in that, and we've talked about this prior to this proceeding, that it actually shows a violation of a standard operating procedure, apparently with some matter about the pension board, which it's my understanding that Mr. Finnegan has been previously disciplined for, but it is being provided in the notice for purposes of history and conduct previously, which Mr. Finnegan is accused. Am I correct there, gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay, in that regard, if there are other, and apparently they grow out of the same transaction, witnesses to provide that, and the mayor is a statutory member of both the Board of Public Safety and the pension board, that that's a matter for the legislature to decide. They have decided, so I don't believe, unless there's some showing of actual prejudice, that he would have to disqualify at this time. That does not preclude you from bringing evidence of some other, based upon some other matter. It doesn't seem to be totally clear and why the legislature does that, but the purpose here today is to follow the law. That's my recommendation.
Yeah. I would waive any opening statement, call Chief Ray Rainey as my first witness.
Excuse me, in that regard, are you waiving opening statement also?
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead and proceed.
Do you want him, you should come down here?
Yes.
Yeah, if you could come down here where the microphone is.
Can I bring any notes with me, or?
That's fine.
I think for purposes of the record, it should show that the 3 board members considered my recommendation, and the mayor is not recusing himself at this time.
Can you please state your name? You're going to swear in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalties for perjury the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Can you please state your name?
My full name is Wendell Ray Rainey, Jr.,
And how are you employed?
by the City of Peru,
As,
as a contract employee as the Chief of Police for the City of Peru.
how long have you been the chief of police?
I was sworn in on November the 7th of 2014.
And are you still acting as the police chief now?
Yes, sir.
And prior to becoming the chief of police here at the City of Peru, what did you do?
I was a police officer with the Indiana State Police for 26 and a half years. I retired from there to become the executive director of the Metropolitan Emergency Communication Agency, and then one of 5 public safety chiefs for the city of Indianapolis in public safety communications, and I was there for 6.5 years.
Sam Finnegan worked for you,
Yes, sir.
and do you recognize him? You see him here today?
Yes, sir. Gentleman in a gray shirt and gray, black, white tie.
At some point, did you make a recommendation to the Board of Works to terminate Sam Finnegan's employment from the City of Peru Police Department?
Yes, I did.
What position was Sam in?
He was a patrolman. Patrolman.
And was he a patrolman the entire time that you've been here?
Yes, sir.
And did you prepare a document to the Board of Works dated March 9th, 2015?
Yes, I did.
And in regards to discipline for Sam?
Yes, sir.
And in that letter, had you alleged that Sam had committed conduct unbecoming a police officer?
Yes, I did.
Had you alleged that he had disobeyed a direct order?
Yes, sir.
Going back to the conduct unbecoming, is that a Class C offense?
Yes, it is.
What's a Class C offense?
It's where department employees shall conduct themselves at all times in a manner that reflects most favorably on the department. It's one of the classes listed in the adopted disciplinary matrix.
Is the disciplinary procedures, are they under General Order Number 5
Yes, sir.
for the Peru Police Department Standard Operating Procedures?
Yes.
So that's where you refer to when you're going to discipline somebody?
Correct.
Okay. Second was the Class B offense, disobeying a direct order. What's a Class B offense?
where department employees shall promptly obey the legitimate orders of superior officers and other members acting in a supervisory capacity.
Now, when the letter was dated, March 9th of 2015 to the Board of Works, those matters that we just discussed, the conduct unbecoming and the disobeying of direct order, he had actually already been disciplined for those matters, correct?
Yes, sir.
Back on December 3rd of 2014, is that correct?
Correct.
In the letter that's dated March 9th, 2015 to the Board of Works, under section, or number 3, there's a Class B offense, absent from work without authorization. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And are you alleging that there was a Class B offense committed?
Yes.
And again, a Class B offense is what?
For offense 11 is employees of the Peru Police Department will not be absent from any mandated activity or their assignment without the authorization of their immediate supervisor.
And would you agree that he's not been disciplined for that matter yet? That's why we're here today.
Yes, sir.
And then there was allegation under section 4, Class A offense, failure to appear for deposition, correct?
Yes, sir.
And has that matter been resolved?
No, it isn't.
Is that another reason we're here today?
It's another reason.
Why did you make the recommendation to terminate him?
Well, adhering and abiding by the Peru disciplinary matrix that was adopted, that at a discipline level 8, it's a mandatory termination. At that level, at 7, it can be considered, and up to addressing these issues, Sam Finnegan was at a discipline level 7, and then with these additional violations, that put him to a discipline level 21.
And a discipline level 21 is in excess of 7 or 8.
Yes, sir.
And that the reason you made the recommendation to terminate his employment?
Yes, it is.
And that's why we're here today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, going back to the absent from work without authorization, how many times are you alleging Sam Finnegan has been absent from work without authorization?
On this report, I have a minimum of 11 days where he was absent.
What days are those?
December the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and the 22nd, as well as March the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2015.
And then you made the recommendation to terminate on somewhere on March 9th, 2015?
Yes, I did.
In regards to the absent from work without authorization, is it your testimony then that Sam wasn't at work on those days?
Yes, it is.
And in fact, what's the last day he worked, if you know?
I do not recall the last day that he worked.
Has it been since around December of 2014?
Sounds right.
I mean, you don't have on there January and February. Did he work in January or February?
No.
So one could construe that he's been absent from work without authorization even more than what you've alleged, correct?
Correct.
You had written in the report that he was approved by Family Medical Leave Act. What is that?
It's the act that's created to allow employees to be granted authorized time off when approved.
And that's unpaid.
Yes, sir.
And was it your understanding that he had been approved by FMLA, as its shorter term, to be absent 2 times per month per 1-day episode?
Yes, it is.
So your understanding was that he could be absent two days a month,
Correct.
but yet he didn't work at all in January or February of 2015.
Right.
In regards to the next violation, Class A offense, failure to appear for deposition, what's a Class A offense?
On that offense, it was where officers shall appear for court or any deposition when duly notified or subpoenaed.
And when are you alleging that when he failed to appear?
I was contacted by the prosecutor's office that he failed to appear for subpoenas on January the 27th of 2015, February 9th, and February the 23rd of 2015.
And that's a Class A offense?
Correct.
What, in regards to absent from work without authorization, the third charge that you had alleged in the letter dated March 9th, 2015, how many points is that on the matrix?
Well, there were 11 different incidents, and for this last disciplinary process, there would have been a total of 14 points or 14 different levels, so it would have went from a level 7, disciplinary level 7, to a disciplinary level 21.
Did you ever contact Sam and ask him when he was going to return to work?
We'd had conversation, yes, sir.
And what did he tell you?
At the time that we did talk on the telephone, he said that he was not able to drive due to the narcotics that he was on that had been prescribed by the doctor, and that it would not allow him to do his job, and that also it would be a violation of the SOPs allowing him to come to work on that type of medication. But the big thing was he couldn't drive.
When was that?
Off the top of my head, I don't really remember the date.
Okay. What, were you aware that he was still driving?
I'd been told he had been.
Did he actually arrive at an accident scene in his own vehicle?
That was my understanding.
So he was driving, but he said he couldn't drive, right?
Correct.
Did he ever provide you a doctor's note that said he couldn't drive?
I don't recall that it said anything about driving. You did have a couple doctor's notes.
When's the last one he provided you, if you know?
I have it right here. I received a doctor's note on 12/16 of 14. I received a note on 12/30 of 14. 1/13 of 15. And I believe that's the last one.
So you believe there was 3 doctor's notes given to you?
Yes, sir.
Did he provide them directly to you, or do you recall?
I don't recall. I think one of them could have been, I don't recall if it was directly given to me or to his supervisor.
It's up to you. What do you do, Mark? Like the as previously marketed
He doesn't care. I'm going to hand you what's been marked, previously marked as Exhibits 3, 5, and 6. Can you identify those documents?
Yes, sir. These were documentation that Sam had provided from his doctor.
In regards to Exhibit 3, just says that Sam was seen by the doctor, and he would, it's dated 12/16/14, that he would need time off starting 12/15 until 12/31, and that the doctor would re-see him on 12/30. Is that correct?
Correct.
Exhibit 5 is that the doctor had examined him on 12/30/14. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then on January 13th, 2015, Dr. Hoover saw Sam again. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And in that letter, Dr. Hoover said he was going to refer Sam to a psychiatrist. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Is there anything in any of the letters that said Sam couldn't drive? That you read?
No, sir.
I'd offer Exhibits 3, 5, and 6.
No objection.
I'd recommend that you show those submitted.
Did you write Sam a letter?
Just a second, Mr. Burke.
Okay.
I made a recommendation.
All right.
They need to rule on it.
Okay.
For purposes of moving along with the act stipulation that if there is no objection and a consent to any of the documents to be presented today, that they be deemed admitted upon submission. Correct?
He said he didn't have any objection.
Mr. Merchant, is that okay with you?
Yeah, I did not have an objection.
And for purposes of the record, let's show that all documents, unless objected to, are admitted upon submission.
Okay. You ready for me to proceed?
Sure.
Chief Rainey, did you send a letter to Sam dated December 22nd, 2014,
Yes,
stating that he had been absent from work without authorization?
Yes, sir.
And did you tell him in that letter that he was to be examined by the city doctor, Dr. Crawshaw?
Yes, I did.
And to your knowledge, did he ever appear for that medical appointment with Dr. Crawshaw?
Not to my knowledge.
I hand you what's been previously marked Planet Exhibit 4. You familiar with that?
Yes, sir.
Did you send that document to Sam Finnegan?
Yes, I did.
And that should have let him know that he was absent from work without authorization in your mind at that time, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'd offer Plaintiff's Exhibit 4. provide Sam a document dated December 3rd, 2014, in regards to his conduct from November 21st to November 24th, 2014.
Yes, I did.
And in that letter, did you tell him that you thought he had committed a Class C offense,
Yes, I did.
falsifying a report?
Yes, sir.
You also alleged that he had committed a Class C offense, conduct unbecoming an officer?
Yes, sir.
Also alleged that he had committed a second count of conduct unbecoming an officer?
Yes.
Class C offense. And disobeying a direct order, Class B offense.
Correct.
Did you then suspend him for 5 days without pay from December 4th, 5th, 8th, 9th, and 10th?
Yes, I did.
And these are the, these would be allegations number 1 and 2 in the letter dated March 9th, 2015. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
I'd offer what's previously been marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1.
Could you restate that question? Let me make sure. Let me cross this here. On the falsifying a report?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Bill. What you provided me was unfortunately not marked as exhibit numbers. So what have you tendered?
sorry.
It's just the charges on here.
Is that exhibit 4? There's 4. So you have to work up. Exhibit 4, 2.
Yeah, you have that. Okay, sorry.
Well, what I was saying is that the letter that informed him of the 5 days off work without pay, the first punishment he received, that's the same as allegations 1 and 2 in the letter dated March 9th, 2015, correct?
The first class on the violation on December 3rd was a separate incident than the first offense in March 9th, if I'm understanding you right.
Oh, okay. So the March 9th letter, number 1 and 2, those were in addition to
Correct.
what he'd already been disciplined for?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so did new information come to you that then led you to make the allegations of 1 and 2 in the March 9th letter?
Yes, there was.
All right. Have that back. Okay, so in the December 3rd, 2014 letter you wrote Sam, and those 4 offenses that you believed he had committed and had been disciplined for, you're telling me that the letter dated March 9th, number 1 and 2, those are in addition to December 3rd, correct?
Correct. Different incidents.
Okay. And when did those come to light?
The first one was a conversation that we had where Sam had told Jackie and I that he was the only person who was allowed to review the written test. Well, we're talking about the test for the applicant testing process, and the only person who was allowed to administer the written test Jackie followed up with the company that provides our written test and to see if that was accurate, and they gave her some information to the contrary, that it was not just one certain person on the pension board who could administer or open those tests.
Okay, that came to light after December 3rd, 2014, when you'd already disciplined him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the same thing with the second allegation, Class B offense, disobeying a direct order?
Correct, it was after.
After the December 3rd?
December date. Yes, sir.
And what was that? What disobeying a direct order? What did he do there?
I had a conversation with him, and I told him that he needed to provide the missing employment applications, the applications written test, and the written test scores that were withheld at the time of my original request, which was on December the 3rd. He advised me that the information was in a plastic box located underneath the second desk in the patrolman squad room. I located the box. I gave the box to City Clerk Gray to have her to search the box to see if it was the information we were looking for, and it was only partially the amount of information. Recontacted Sam, and then he retrieved the missing paperwork from a desk that was located in the supervisor's squad room, and I believe it's where he had previously worked during a limited duty type of hours.
Okay. Here's exhibit 1. Bring that back to you. So, did you provide Sam the letter that is dated March 9th, 2015?
Yes, I did.
Then the Board of Works, did they take the matter of terminating Sam's employment under advisement?
Yes, they did.
And did I prepare a letter dated March 9th, 2015 that you attempted to deliver to Sam?
Yes, sir.
And he in fact got that letter? Is that
Yes,
correct?
Correct.
But he refused to sign for the letter, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'd offer what's been previously marked Exhibit 10, the letter that Chief Raining sent to Sam on March 9th, 2015 in regard to his discipline. That was also sent to Board of Works. This letter is marked as Exhibit 11. I'm going to hand you what's been marked Plaintiff's Exhibit 11, which was a letter dated March 9th, 2015 from me to Sam Finnegan in regards to there would be a hearing in regards to terminating his employment. Yeah. Mark this as Exhibit 12. I'll show you what's been marked Plaintiff's Exhibit 12. Are you able to identify that?
It's approved Police Department General Order Number 5, the disciplinary procedures.
Does it include the disciplinary matrix?
Yes, it does.
Does that set out what different offenses are, Class A, B, C, D?
Correct.
And what point values are given to that?
Yes, it does.
Is this the disciplinary matrix you used in determining the discipline for Sam?
Yes, it is.
Is general order number 5 what you use in determining what discipline he would receive?
Yes, it is.
I'd offer Exhibit 12. Still your recommendation today that Sam's employment be terminated
Yes, it is.
based on the fact that he was absent from work without authorization numerous times?
Yes, sir.
I don't have anything further.
Mr. Merchant?
Chief, my name's Ed Merchant. I'm representing Mr. Finnegan in this case. I just have a few questions in this matter. Your first charge is, well, let me ask you this. How familiar are you, Chief, with the process itself with regard to the hiring of new individuals in the testing process?
How familiar am I with it?
Yes.
I think very familiar. We've ran 2 test days probably since March. So I've been in charge of 2 of them.
Okay. And so you're aware that there's an agreement that's been signed with, it's my understanding that the department has outsourced the actual testing materials to a company that provides them, and there's an agreement in place?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that agreement authorizes what's called a TSA, which is I guess, testing security analyst. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
And are you aware that Mr. Finnegan was the TSA for the department at that time?
No, I'm not.
Okay. I'm going to hand you what's marked as, I've marked as Exhibit A. You can see this, or do you have this? Yeah. What's been marked as Exhibit A? Does that look like the testing security agreement?
I believe so.
Okay. And according to this agreement, and you were aware that Mr. Finnegan was the TSA for the department?
I never heard him say he was a TSA. I know he said he was going to administer the test.
Okay.
And that he was the only one that could open the test, look at the test, administer the test.
Okay.
I think there was never a title.
I'm going to ask you to read what I highlighted there as paragraph C.
Authorized personnel include TSA signers of this agreement, and the following 2 exceptions. During the test review phase, subject matter experts who are not signers may need to review the test in relation to their selection process, or may need to access to our test in order to provide input for local validation or transportability studies. In this case, a TSA signer must be present during the review meetings and must ensure that the SMEs are never alone with the test or allowed to take them from the meeting site. Then it says, IMPA-HR, which I believe is the company, would prefer that a TSA or an LASA signer be the only one handling test materials. However, we understand that non-signers are often used during test administration for proctoring. Proctors may be assigned to assist on test administration days and should be briefed on test security measures. Proctors may assist the test administrator by distributing and collecting test materials and by monitoring the test room. However, they should never be left alone with the test materials at any time. While LASA signers may order and handle all test materials, they may not be received or opened directly by the signer to this agreement. Only the TSA signer have those rights.
So would you agree then, in fact, if Mr. Finnegan was in fact the department's TSAs, that he would be the only one authorized to review the test, and that if any, or that administered the test, and that if anyone else did review it, he had to be present?
I think if anyone else reviewed it, I think it states that he would have to be present.
You'd have to be present. And then I'm going to hand you the second page of this agreement and ask you to read the terms and conditions, which has been highlighted as Section B.
Section B says TSA signers are required to keep test materials under lock and key at all times outside of test administration.
So again, he's the lone authority to keep these protected, correct?
I had never seen anything that showed that he was. I know he said he was the administrator of the test.
Well, if he was the administrator of the test, was he lying when he said he was the only one allowed to administer it, according to this agreement? If this board determines that he was in fact the TSA, and this agreement specifies that he has to administer it, wouldn't you agree that in fact he was?
I would agree, yes, sir.
Move to admit Exhibit A into evidence. The second charge is disobeying a direct order with regard to you didn't promptly obey your legitimate orders to, I guess, hand over the testing materials.
Correct.
And you said, let me get this right, but I believe you testified that you called him, you asked for the materials, he told you where they were. You went there and not all the materials were there, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you called him again?
We talked again. I think it might have been in person that we talked that time.
Okay, and then he checked a
different area, different
Okay,
his
so
desk.
did he at that time have two desks?
The only one I knew that he worked at was the one right outside my office when I first took this position.
Okay, so your allegation claims that he disobeyed a direct order. If he was simply incorrect as to which desk it was stored in, would that be disobeying a direct order, or would he just have been mistaken as to which desk it had been stored in?
I don't know what. When I asked him for the materials, it was not all provided.
But he attempted to comply with your order. He thought they were in place A, right? He said, "Oh, check here," and some of what you're looking for was there, correct?
Some of it was.
Okay, but not all of it. I understand that. But then when he arrived in person and he said, "Oh, well, let's check this other desk," you were able to retrieve the remaining information, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so, is this all in the one same day?
I don't recall if it was the same day or not.
Okay, but it was a short period of time.
It was within a short period of time.
Okay, so in a short period of time, he was able to provide you with all the information. The first time he told you where it was, you got at least half of it, if not more of it. And the second, when he actually arrived in person, he was able to deliver the rest.
Correct.
And you believe that's he disregarded a direct order?
Yes, I do.
You don't think he was mistaken?
I don't know.
You think he had the intent to disobey you?
I think yes, there was intent from the start not to follow the procedures set forth in testing applicants.
Well, we know what the testing applicants are. Unless you're on that agreement, Chief, you're not authorized to even review those tests.
I'm even talking about prior to this agreement or during the testing day.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the order that you gave him, that he essentially complied with, although he wasn't sure that some of the information was at another desk. And at that time, you believe that he had the intent to disobey you by attempting to comply, but I guess apparently not being completely accurate as to where all the information was.
Yes, I do.
You allege that he was absent from work for several days. I'm going to hand you what I've marked as Exhibit B. This appeared to be the FMLA paperwork for Mr. Finnegan.
I believe so.
And have you seen this before?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to read the top of what is actually the third page, but the facsimile shows up as page 4 on Exhibit B. The very, I guess it's number 5 at the very top.
So number 5, will the employee be incapacitated for a single continuous period of time due to his or her medical condition, including any time for treatment and recovery? Yes.
Thank you. So according to this document, he is incapacitated for a period from December 15th to March 1st, 2015. Is that correct?
Let me read it again. Yes.
Move to amend Exhibit B. But despite, and you claim that you've already read that paperwork, but despite that being included in that paperwork, you still think that he was on an unauthorized absence.
Yes, I do.
But your testimony, you've already testified that in fact he wasn't being paid during this time. Is that correct?
I'd have to ask the city clerk that, or who.
Well, are you aware, how does FMLA work? Do people get paid during FMLA time?
No.
Okay, so assuming it worked the same way as it always does, he didn't get paid during this time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, despite his absences, he wasn't stealing money from the city. He wasn't just sitting at home, watching TV, getting a paycheck, right?
No paycheck.
Okay. And it says that he was, in March 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th that he was absent.
Correct.
On March 9th, you draft a letter indicating that you were recommending his termination. Correct? Did at any time you ever pick up the phone to see if he was okay?
I think we'd maybe talked once. That was during the conversation where he said that he was unable to drive, and that I said, he said, "Are you ordering me to come back to work?" And I said, "What I'm telling you is you're scheduled to come back to work. I'm not ordering you. I'm just telling you that's going to be your decision."
Okay.
I think that might have been the only conversation we had, other than maybe during the transfer of some of this.
When did that conversation take place?
I don't remember the date.
Okay. But it looks to me, as in reading your charging document, it looks as if you had expected him to come back to work, or that you had at least expected him to miss work from December 23rd to March 2nd. So you would have expected him to return on March 1st. Because although it's been insinuated that you could have charged him with more days of absence, you didn't. So therefore, you feel that maybe he had some sort of justification for at least not working January and February, correct? And it looks like, just reading this, I think common sense would dictate that you expected him to return on March 1st, March 2nd, 2015, correct?
My understanding from talking with the city clerk who had contacted FMLA representatives, and I was involved in one or two of those phone conversations, was that he was allowed 2 days per month for one occurrence.
What does that
my
mean?
understanding. So my understanding would mean that he had, within that time of the FMLA, he was only authorized 2 days from FMLA to be absent from work, to go to a doctor or to have any kind of test ran.
But you just read the FMLA paperwork, which said the incapacity would be a duration of December through March 1, correct?
I read that, yes, sir.
Okay. But again, it looks like then there's an expectation on your part that he would return to work March 1. Is that correct?
I'd have to see if you
This
have
is
it.
your charging document.
Thank you.
Third charge.
Yes, sir, that'd be right, after March 1.
Okay, March 1. So, on March 1, did you call him to say, hey, you missed work today?
No.
Did you ask anyone else in the department to call him to say, hey, you want to go check on him? Maybe something's wrong with him?
I think there'd been some supervisors that he had talked with and some members.
Did you ask anyone to go
No, I
check
did
on
not.
him? I'm going to hand you what's marked as Exhibit C. And is that a letter to you?
Yes, sir.
And what's the date on that letter?
So it's March the 9th.
Okay. And is that from Russ Tussey?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So on March 1st, you feel that Mr. Finnegan has been missing work. No calls are made. You don't ask anyone to go check on him to see if he's okay. But on March 9th, you authorized Tussey to go retrieve his firearms, retrieve his car, and order a no trespass?
Correct.
Okay. Exhibit C. With regard to depositions, in your letter that essentially accompanies the charging document, you state that he missed a deposition on January 27th. But he attempted to call, or excuse me, on February 9th. Did not advise him as to why he could not appear, but that he did advise that he would not be able to appear. Is that correct?
Where do you see that at, sir?
I'm sorry, this is in your actual letter, I believe. It's right in through here.
Yeah, 1 hour prior to his subpoena time, he did. 1 hour prior to that on that February 9th day. Yes, sir.
All right. So he advised him, albeit on short notice, but he did advise him that he wasn't going to make it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you said he also missed a deposition, I believe, was on the 9th. Is that correct?
Correct. February the 9th.
All right. Now, how did you become aware of this information?
I was contacted by the prosecutor's office.
And they advised, who did they contact you? Who did they contact?
I believe they contacted me.
Okay. And do you remember the specific conversation and who contacted you?
Just that he had missed three days. I believe it was Prosecutor Bruce Embry.
Okay. And you also make note that that was it Nancy had attempted to call him. Oh yeah, Nancy on February 2nd.
Yes, sir.
And who is Nancy?
She's one of the clerks in works for the police department.
Okay, so she would advise him that he has mail.
Correct.
So presumably, if he's not driving and he's not appearing at the office, and it sounds like subpoenas are being sent to his house, or excuse me, are being sent to the department and not his house, then he's probably not getting them on a regular basis. Is that correct?
I know. I believe it was Nancy that said that Sam had been in the department while those subpoenas were in his box, so he could have been made aware of it if he had checked his box.
Okay. Well, how would she know? I'm going to hand you what's marked as Exhibit D. This is a copy of the envelope as well as the subpoena. How would she know that there's a subpoena in there? Does the outside of the envelope indicate that there's a subpoena inside?
No, it does not.
Okay. So she didn't advise him that there was a subpoena in his mailbox. She just advised him that he had mail.
My
Correct?
understanding, she probably moved a
Okay.
subpoena. How she determined that, I don't know.
All right. And what's the date on the
The date on this
date stamp?
January the 27th, 2015.
Okay. And what's the date? I also handed you a subpoena within that. Is that correct? What's the date of that subpoena?
It says the 4th of February, 2015, at 11 a.m.
All right. So that's not the 9th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And are you aware if he attended this one?
I'm not aware. So
Okay.
it's in Wabash County. I was never contacted
Okay.
on this one.
Well, are you sure that the subpoena that you believed was on the 9th might have been on the 4th?
No, because I was not contacted by the Wabash County prosecutor. I was contacted here by Miami County prosecutor.
Okay. But you would agree then that he did in fact receive, around the date of the call from Nancy, a subpoena for February 4th, correct? Okay. You said that you were advised by Sam that he couldn't, according to SOPs, he couldn't drive with regard to the medications he was taking, correct?
Correct.
But you also said that it was your understanding that he had responded to a scene, correct?
I believe he had told, I want to say it was Captain Denapal, that he had taken someone, maybe a child, to the dentist. He had driven there. He had showed up at an accident scene that I believe some of the firefighters seen him at where a relative was involved. He had also driven from there then to the hospital as well. And then I think even after that he was involved in an accident himself where he had family.
Was he driving his squad car?
No.
Okay. So the SOPs aren't law, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the SOPs might indicate that if you're taking certain medications, you can't drive a squad car, correct? But that you can still drive your own personal vehicle.
I don't think it's anything about, I'm not sure about driving. It talks about being at work under that kind of medication.
Okay. So you take that medication, you can't be at work. Perhaps you can't drive your squad car either. But it doesn't say anything about driving your personal vehicle or taking your kids to a doctor, does it?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, presumably you could still do that. Although he's not, by SOPs, permitted to go to work because of the medication, doesn't mean he has to stop living his life, right?
Correct.
Okay. No further questions.
Anything else?
Yeah, quickly. Did he ever present you any kind of documentation from a medical doctor that he couldn't drive a car?
No, sir, he did not.
Did he ever provide you a list of medications he was on?
No, sir.
In regards to the FMLA paperwork, you're alleging that he missed work on the March 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, correct?
Correct.
And that was after the FMLA was over, correct?
Correct.
You also allege that he had missed December 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and 22nd, although his FMLA paperwork says excuse him from December 15th on. Why did you show him absent from work without authorization from December 15th to 22nd when his FMLA paperwork was said December 15th?
That was after the conversation that the city clerk and I had with the FMLA representatives and on how to move forward on this and what the clarification was on his actual granted FMLA days. And that's when they explained to us that he was not authorized by FMLA to be off those days.
You didn't get the FMLA paperwork in Exhibit B until January 29th, correct?
I'm not sure of the
You
date,
have a
but
copy of it?
That's it.
This has been what's previously marked as Exhibit B and presented into evidence by Mr. Finnegan. So did this paperwork come to the City of Peru Police Department around January 29th, 2015, or January 30th, 2015?
Yes, sir, I think it was first to the city clerk's office, and then that's how I reviewed it.
So the FMLA paperwork wasn't received until the end of January.
Correct.
It didn't come prior to December 15th, right?
Correct.
I don't have anything further.
Mr. Richard?
Yeah, I just have a few. Earlier you had stated that you had sent a letter, I don't remember what the exhibit number was, but a letter, I believe this is a copy of it. Is this the letter that's been introduced into evidence? What was that number? Regarding Dr. Crenshaw.
I don't know.
I'm not sure it was,
January 30th, I believe, is the date of the letter.
which one referred to.
It's not even one of the very first one.
I have it as Exhibit 4.
Exhibit 4.
Okay. So,
I believe this letter would have came from either the city clerk's office or the city attorney's office.
Okay.
It did not come from me.
okay. No, I'm showing it to you. I'm going to hand you what I've marked as Exhibit E. And can you identify this for me?
It was a letter to Officer Sam Finnegan, reference psychiatric evaluation dated January the 30th, 2015. The header on here says City of Peru, 35 South Broadway, Peru, Indiana.
But it's not signed. Correct.
No, sir.
So we don't know who the identity of the author of this letter, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if there's nothing signed on this sheet.
Okay. And, but does it not specify in there that you advised that you were taking medications?
Yes, it does say in the second sentence.
Okay. So he's at least advised someone that he's on certain medications, correct?
I think he's advised someone he's on medication. As far as what he's on, I don't think anyone knew that.
Sure. Is it asked in that letter? Please give us a list of your medication.
No, it is not.
Okay, but he's asked to see Dr. Crenshaw, correct?
No, I don't think it's anything about Dr. Crenshaw.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
about a psychiatric
The
evaluation.
exhibit 4, you had asked him to see Dr. Crenshaw, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And, but you say it's to your knowledge, you're not aware if you saw him?
I don't know if he's...
Did you call Dr. Crenshaw? Earlier, you alleged that he didn't see him, or at least to the best of your knowledge, he had not seen him.
Yeah, to my
Correct.
knowledge, he hadn't.
Okay, how did you determine that? Did you follow up to see if he'd been there?
I talked with Crenshaw's office.
Okay.
Just for the record, it's Crawshaw.
I'm sorry.
I can't pronounce it either.
We'll just call him Doctor. So you called the doctor's office, and they advised you.
That they had not examined him.
And when did you make this call?
I don't remember the date.
I wanted to Exhibit E. So you haven't confirmed that he didn't go to that doctor. You've just confirmed that on whatever date you called, he had not been there yet, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware of how the schedules are posted in the department?
Yes, sir.
And how is that?
Usually the first, second, and third shift commanders have clipboards that they have a daily, it's for the month, they have dates listed.
Okay. And does it have there are numbers on this calendar, and those numbers correspond to certain officers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to hand you to what's been marked as Exhibit F. Does that appear to be the March calendar for the second shift?
The second shift commander would have to answer that because I know sometimes they have sheets that they work off themselves. It's not actually posted on the clipboard, or maybe they're not updated, or they're looking for manpower, what they have. So I couldn't say that this was on the clipboard.
Okay.
It's the same kind of form, I will
Same
say.
kind of form. And there's a the number 74 listed, is that correct?
Correct.
And are you aware if Mr. Finnegan is 74?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is it listed on that as far as Sam Finnegan's work schedule for March of 2015?
You mean per day? Mm-hmm. It shows that March the 2nd, March the 2nd, March the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of that week, and the 7th are as FMLA. It has FMLA in the following week. Actually, for the whole month of the days that have been scheduled.
So if the second shift commander would say, yes, this was the posted schedule, would it be unreasonable for Sam Finnegan to look at this calendar and believe that his FMLA lasted through March?
I think when I spoke with the second shift commander, who's Russ Tessie, his explanation on that was that Sam had told him he was on FMLA during that time, but to say that was the primary schedule, I don't know, but
Okay.
I know
But if this is on a clipboard and it's posted, and someone would read this, they would it be reasonable for them to believe that they had FMLA time off through the month of March?
It could be, but go ahead, never mind.
Exhibit F. No further questions.
In regards to Exhibit F, was Sam scheduled to work March 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then the 7th?
I believe so.
And then scheduled to work the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and then back on the 14th?
Correct.
So, I mean, his number's still there, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you know if Sam ever came to the Peru Police Department and ever looked at the schedule?
Not to my knowledge.
In fact, he'd been told not to come to the Peru Police Department and look at the schedule, correct?
Correct.
Well, I guess that was after March 9th. He was told not to. Okay. So before then, he could have come and looked at the schedule, correct?
Correct.
I don't have anything further.
Just a point of clarification. He could have come to the department to review this schedule at any time prior to March 9th. correct?
Yes, sir.
And is it when you, I guess, ordered him to no trust, he can't trespass? Do you feel that's a lawful order?
I was going by what I was told, yes, sir.
Who told you this?
But I would have been taking advice from the city attorney.
And based on that advice, and that would be Mr. Berkshire, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Based on that advice, you felt that you needed to tell a taxpayer that they can't come to City Hall, correct?
I did as I was told.
What if he would have arrived at City Hall? Would you have arrested him?
We would have asked him to leave. I would hope he would have had to have been arrested.
What if he said, no, I have rights to be here?
I guess I'd have called the city attorney and asked him what his opinion on it was at. And whatever he gave me, that's what I would have acted upon.
Nothing further.
Are people issuing no trespass orders all the time?
Yes, sir.
Nothing further.
Okay, are both of you finished now?
Yeah.
Okay, does the board have any questions to this witness?
Not at this time.
The only thing I guess I'll mention that at this time. I don't have any questions.
Go. Your excuse. Gentlemen, can we agree now as to those exhibits that are in evidence, and I think they are 1 through, what's your last number there?
11, I believe.
12 and
12, 3, 5, 6.
And then 8 through F, I believe. Correct? Okay. And then no objection, and they've all been read and considered by the board for purposes of record.
Ready for the next witness?
Yeah. Call Jackie Gray.
solemnly swear or affirm under penalties for perjury, the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please state your name
Jacqueline Gray,
and where do you work?
City of Prue, City Clerk Treasurer.
And is that an elected position?
Yes, it is.
How long have you been the city clerk treasurer?
January 1 is the beginning of my 16th year.
And are you familiar with Sam Finnegan,
Yes, sir.
being an employee of the city of Peru?
Yes, sir.
And previously, there was an Exhibit E introduced into evidence that was dated January 30th, 2015 to Officer Finnegan. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Finnegan introduced that into evidence. Do you have a copy of it?
Yes, sir.
All right. How do you recognize it?
I wrote this letter.
Okay. And did you mail it to Officer Finnegan?
Yes, I did.
And in that letter, it states that that Sam had been placed on 2 medications. How were you aware of that?
There was a letter that was sent to us from Dr. Hoover on December the 30th that states that he had reevaluated Sam Finnegan and had placed him on 2 medications.
And in that letter dated December 30th from Dr. Hoover, did it indicate that he was referring Sam to a psychiatrist?
In the letter, December 30th?
In Dr. Hoover's letter, did he state he was referring Sam to?
There was a doctor slip from Dr. Hoover that is dated January 13th, and in that letter it says, I'm going to increase his medication and refer him to a psychiatrist.
Okay. Do you know if that ever happened?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you, though, in the letter January 30th, 2015, ask that he see a psychiatrist in Kokomo?
Yes, sir.
And to your knowledge, did he ever see that psychiatrist?
Not that I'm aware of.
And they didn't report to you that he'd been there?
Correct.
And there was some testimony earlier about Dr. Crawshaw and whether or not Sam had been there. Did you ever receive any report from Dr. Crawshaw
No,
that
sir.
Sam had been there?
No, sir.
Had he been asked to see both Dr. Crawshaw and the psychiatrist in Kokomo that's put in the letter of January 30th, 2015 in
Yes.
Exhibit E?
Yes, he was.
Have you ever received any reports stating that he'd seen either one of those people?
No, sir.
Exhibit B was introduced previously in regards to the FMLA paperwork. Are you familiar with FMLA?
Yes, sir.
And what is it?
Family Medical Leave Act, it's a unpaid leave for an employee for up to 12 weeks.
Is in 12 weeks in a calendar year?
Correct.
And that's the maximum length?
Correct.
And when did you receive the FMLA paperwork dated, or in Exhibit B?
It was faxed on January the 30th at 1:08 p.m.
To whom?
My office.
And what did you do with the paperwork?
Submitted copies to the chief.
The FMLA paperwork stated that Sam would be, his period of incapacity would be from December 15th to March 1st. Did you feel that the FMLA could be backdated to December 5th or December 15th when you received it on January 30th?
No.
Based on what?
Conversation with a gentleman named Steve at FMLA and then some additional paperwork that he had given me. In the paperwork from FMLA in the conversation, it says that when the need for leave is foreseeable less than 30 days in advance or is unforeseeable, employees must provide notice as soon as possible and practical under the circumstances.
So the fact that the FMLA paperwork had come 45 days after the alleged incapacity, you didn't feel that it should be backdated to December 15th?
Correct.
And did you review the Department of Labor website?
Yes, I did.
And in regards to the Family and Medical Leave Act?
Yes, I
And
did.
that's what you were quoting from?
Correct.
This?
I have my copy.
Okay, you got your copies. Make a copy of this real quick. Is there a copy machine? While we're waiting for that, I'll ask about something else, that being that In regards to Sam's employment and payment, how was he paid or not paid in the months of January and February where he didn't come to work?
January 1st, 2nd, 5th, and 6th, he received sick days, 4 sick days. And the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. And the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st, he received 15 medical days. On February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, he received personal time and some comp time. And then was on FMLA leave for the remaining days after that until March the 4th.
Okay. Even though the FMLA paperwork said March 1st.
Correct.
And had he used all 12 weeks of FMLA then, or did he still have some FMLA time left?
There was still some time left after March 1st.
Okay. Going back to what I was asking you, in regards to the Department of Labor and the Family Medical and Leave Act, did you go to their website in regards to when to apply the FMLA?
Yes, I did.
And you applied it from what day forward, if you know?
There is FMLA on January 11th, 12th, 13th. No, excuse me. January 26th, 27th, 28th, and the 31st, and then until March the 4th.
Okay. Exhibit 13.
What exhibit number was that?
13. You ever receive any kind of letter from, when's the last letter you received from a doctor?
The final form that came from the physician was the FMLA form on January the 30th.
You ever get anything after that?
No, sir.
You ever get anything saying that he was to be off work after March 1st of 2015?
No, sir.
In regards to the testing with the pension board, are you a
Yes.
member of the pension board?
Yes, sir.
And what was your understanding of the testing scores that we talked about earlier, who could grade the test?
When I spoke to the individuals at the company, there have to be test proctors, but the the TSA is the signer, and that means that that individual is the individual who can order the tests are delivered to that individual. That individual can open the package, review that, what's in the package, and then a label has to be placed back on top until testing day. And at that time, that package can be opened, and there are proctors. The individual who is the TSA must be present during the testing and must be present during the time in which the tests are graded.
Okay. Well, who was the TSA?
I don't have the form to show who is TSA because there is a test security agreement that has to be filled out and signed to say who those individuals are. Only from Sam saying that he was the TSA, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay. What happened during the testing that brought this to light to begin with? And why did this become an issue?
After Chief Rainey had asked that the information be brought to me, had asked Sam to bring the information down to me, we began to review some of the documents, and there were a couple of tests that were not graded correctly.
Okay. Was this all? Did this all start when? The testing procedure got screwed up, didn't it?
It did.
And that was because people were tested that shouldn't have been there.
Correct.
So did the whole testing process get questioned at that point?
Yes, at that point, there was question as to who had turned in the applications after the date, who was there that tested. Of those individuals that turned them in late, how many of those individuals were there that had tested? And then beyond that, how many of those individuals scored a test score high enough to continue on?
And so at some point you regraded the test
Correct.
and determined that how many were incorrect.
There were two.
Okay. And were they tested lower or higher
They tested lower.
than what grade they'd been given?
Correct.
And were you present during the testing?
Yes, sir.
So some of the allegations that had been made and Chief Rainey's recommendation that led to the 5-day suspension, you were familiar with some of that
Yes, sir.
because you were present during the testing.
Correct.
And then after the testing and after the 5-day suspension, more things came to light, such as the test scores themselves
Correct.
not being graded correctly.
Correct.
And one of the issues that led to you reviewing that is that who set the deadline on when the applications would be submitted to begin with?
Sam wrote the ad and set the
I
deadline.
object to this line of questioning as irrelevant. There's no charge with regard to the timing of the test.
He's already been disciplined for that, so I'd agree to withdraw the question.
Show it sustain my agreement.
I don't have any further questions.
With regard to that test cert security agreement, it makes clear that the TSA signer must be present during review meetings, correct?
Correct.
So when you reviewed the test, was Mr. Finnegan present?
When I reviewed the tests that are incorrect,
Yes.
he was not.
Okay. So you didn't stand by this agreement?
I did because whenever I called the company, I had signed a new agreement and made the chief and I as the TSAs.
But pursuant to the terms of the original agreement, it was not followed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you're not aware who the TSA, you are the city clerk and treasurer, correct?
Correct.
But you have no record of the original TSA agreement?
Correct.
Do you know whether or not Mr. Finnegan was the only officer to review the test?
He was the only officer present at testing that had this bubble sheet with the grid sheet that went on top of it to grade this test, yes.
Okay. And do you know if he ever asked anyone else on the pension board to assist him or to review these tests with him?
He asked individuals on the pension board to help him with the counting of the incorrect slashes that he made on the test,
Okay.
not with actually reviewing the bubble sheet.
And do you know that if at any time he did ask someone or anyone to help him review the test for actually grading the test?
No,
Okay. But are you denying that happened, or are you just saying you're not aware?
I'm not aware.
With regard to the exhibit, the United States Department of Labor document with regard to FMLA, on that third page, you would reference what I believe is an employee notice. Eligible employees seeking to use FMLA may be required to provide 30-day notice, correct?
Correct.
Or notice as soon as practical when it's not foreseeable, correct?
Correct.
And then the very last bullet point, which you didn't read, says that where the employer was not made aware that an employee was absent for FMLA reasons and the employee wants the leave counted toward FMLA leave, timely notice, generally within 2 business days of returning to work, that the leave was taken for qualifying reasons, correct?
I'm not sure where you're reading from.
I'm sorry. I think it's page 3 of the document I was handed. I'm sorry. The third page. Is this? Yeah, this is it. This final.
That's correct, that's what it says.
Okay. Oh, has it?
Yeah. Exhibit 4. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, we're not sure the exhibit number. This has already been introduced into evidence. I believe it's exhibit, I don't think it's 4, but a previous exhibit.
3.
3. I'll just hand you number 3. I'm handing you what's been marked, previously marked as exhibit 3 and introduced as exhibit 3.
Yes.
What's the date of that?
December 16th.
Okay. And the FMLA that we're aware of here is from December 15th through the 31st, or
Correct.
through the 1st of March, correct?
Correct.
This is dated, again, a day after it began, right? The 16th, is that correct?
This letter is dated.
Okay. And it indicates that he's going to be off for an extended period of time, correct?
This letter does.
Okay. So there was notice provided that Sam Finnegan's going to need an extended period of time off, correct?
That notice is from a written letter from the doctor's office. It is not on an approved FMLA form.
I understand that, but the department or the city was on notice that there's an extended period of time needed off, correct?
I think that says December 15th through the 31st.
correct? So we know at least 2 weeks is going to be off. The city would be on notice. And sorry. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit E. Oh, I guess that's already been introduced as Exhibit 5. And in this letter, dated December 30th, correct?
Correct.
It states that he's on certain medications and that it takes a while for these medications to kick in your system, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that, in fact, it says it takes 4 to 6 weeks for these medications to work reliably, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the department's on notice that from December 15th through into February that he's going to need some time off to A, deal with this issue that he's dealing with, and B, allow the medication to do its job before he